Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things,
the podcast.
I'm Macy.
And I'm Naomi.
And we're two anxious counselors who like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
We believe normal is boring, knowledge is power, and laughter is the best medicine.
And you shouldn't drink other people's wine.
And you shouldn't rip the can out of their mouth so forcefully you almost break their tooth either. Which is worse. All right. We have a third person in the podcast studio, aka my bedroom. This is Sarah, our hype girl.
Hey guys.
So she's our participant audience.
Yes, I am.
She may pipe up here and there.
Pop in.
Pop in
out.
And yes.
All right. I get to go first, right?
I mean, I said I would go first, but you can go first.
You go first. Go.
Okay.
Go first.
I'm gonna go first. Okay. So remember how we went on a hike yesterday?
I do remember that.
Okay, don't look at my computer.
Okay.
So
it's really gonna be challenging.
Okay, so we went on a hike and we were like, there's nothing like deeply disturbing about Mount Spokane.
No, that's not what I said. I just said it wasn't enough to like do a whole thing about.
I disagree.
Oh, I did look up this.
Did you? Yes.
But they said they didn't want you to go tramping through the woods to try to find it.
Right. So we couldn't go do that.
Yeah.
Because it's, and maybe I'll explain why. But yes, so there have been multiple plane crashes on Mount Spokane over the past 60 years. So
we went hiking on Mount Spokane yesterday.
We did.
Which is in Washington where we live.
Yes. So it was a KC-135 tanker. It was on approach to Fairchild Air Force Base. So it's only like 10 minutes from landing. So it was already close to being in. And all of a sudden it lost all radio contact.
I don't know what that kind of airplane looks like. Can you describe? Is it like a medium one, a small one?
It's this thing here.
Oh my God, look it up, Sarah. Look at already earning her keep
as
a hype girl.
Okay, so this tanker...
KC-135.
So the tanker call sign Morn 79 was due in for the Air Force Base in South Dakota. And so it starts coming over Mount Spokane. And it was interesting because this plane normally only has like 3 or 4 people in it, but they had 44 people on the plane. And as it was coming up to the mountains, it was all on the equipment, which means that the weather was so bad that they couldn't navigate just visually. Ooh,
it's pretty big, actually.
It is big. Oh, you can't see that. It is big.
Yeah.
It's a military.
Yeah, because Fairchild is the... So there was a lot of people on it, and they said that there was a lot of fog, the conditions were bad, and apparently on their navigation map, there's 2 flight paths. There's one that goes over the mountain and one that goes around the side of the mountain, and they're right next to each other on the same map. So what they suspect happened was that they went using radio or using just the equipment on the plane and were following the wrong map, that they were going as low as the one that would have gone around the mountain. So they thought they were going around, but they were heading straight into the mountain.
Gosh, I've heard of other plane crashes that's like a similar situation.
Well,
where you just drive like either straight into the ground or straight into a mountain thinking you're a lot higher than you are. Yeah.
And that's what I found really interesting is really after this wave of, the 1960s, or the technology got better, and we've had a lot less plane crashes because of that.
Hold on.
Yes.
Didn't your dad used to work for Boeing and like mechanic these engines? Does he have any blame to shoulder in this crash?
I'm sure. They did say that oh my gosh, he did the auto navigation stuff too.
Yeah, I think he actually mentioned that anytime you see a plane dropping from the sky, it was his fault. I think that's a quote.
It was. And then he was laid off shortly after. Right. Okay. Glad that's out there. So it took him a really long time to find it because it is really rural, like out there. So it's not anywhere near the paths that we were at, and it's not city-owned land yet. And actually the family members went out just this September and put up like debris as like a makeshift memorial sort of thing to the people whose lives were lost. But that wasn't even the first accident to happen there. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
That's an interesting memorial.
Right. So there's a couple of different
made out of plane shrapnel, like actual
this is actual pieces of the plane that they found and put up. But they said that it was so bad when they found the wreckage that everything was charred. You know, there was no way to like identify people. And all 44 people died in that plane crash. Look away. Okay. So now, why would I say look away? You look.
I have to. Someone says don't press that button. Like, what are you gonna do?
Don't look. We have rules. We have rules, Sarah.
I'm looking away.
Okay, just give me a
I'm
second.
not a cheater like Sarah.
So that wasn't the only flight accident over Mount Spokane, though. So there was another one in 1947. The B-29 strategic bomber was flying out of the Fairchild Air Force base and did a similar thing. Conditions were very similar to the other incident, and they ended up disappearing from radar. And the crash ended up being found on the summit of Mount Kit Carson.
That's where we were hiking.
Oh, is it that one?
We were on the Kit Carson Loop.
Right. Okay, so it was on the southwest of that. There were 44 fatalities. Oh, that's the worst one. Got it. But they actually named one of the runs for the ski hill is named after that. It's the B. What is it? The B. Oh gosh, B. What did I just say? B-29 is one of the runs that was named after it.
Interesting.
So there were no survivors in that one either.
Have I mentioned I hate flying and I don't really like to do it and I avoid it at all costs? This is why.
I like to do a lot of flying topics. I've done a lot for you.
Flying is dangerous.
So
and outside of my control. If I was driving the plane, it would be totally different.
So there's been roughly 60 people who have died on that mountain just in plane crashes, which is interesting.
It's a lot. That's a lot of lives lost.
Errors in navigation, poor visibility, and improper altitude is the fatal combination for Mount Spokane, and has been a big issue historically that, you know,
are we
led
saying
to
it's your dad's
advances.
fault?
I mean,
Is that our conclusion?
Wasn't gonna.
So we should find out if he worked on that plane.
In what year did I say?
It was 62 that the plane crash happened, but
yeah,
I don't know when the plane was made. Did he work on those CJ 153s or whatever?
I have no idea. CJ 150. CJ.
Is that what it's called?
No.
What was it called?
B-29.
No, the other one.
Oh, K something.
135.
KC 135.
KC. Yeah, KC 135. Yeah. So there you go. I just had a little tidbit about it and I wanted to share because I didn't know that. So somebody had told me like, oh, did you know about the plane crash? I'm like, oh, and then, I mean, it makes sense that you know about it. But,
well, because I really was going to try to do a podcast topic while we're out on our hike.
Right.
But I thought it would be more impactful, like if we could find the site, you know, but it just really seemed like they did not want people really trying to find it.
Even the family members and stuff had to be like brought out there with GPS and stuff. So it's probably not too safe.
That's not really the kind of hike we went on yesterday.
No, we've gone into some scary, like might get jumped places before, but we're usually within a sprinting distance of the car.
Right. We went on the kind of hike where you don't need any special equipment or a tire, or you don't even need to really bring snacks or water because you're really not that far from the car.
There was a kind bar involved though.
Yes, we had one kind bar that we could have shared and rationed amongst us if needed.
If there was, danger or
a bear. I thought about you throwing it at a bear and how long that might entertain the bear.
Do you know that I researched what to do if you run into a bear before our hike yesterday?
Before
right before
messages on what you're
there was mixed messages because a lot of it was like, well, it kind of depends on the local regional bear behavior. And I'm like, well, I haven't really spent time getting to know these bears. So I don't really know their traits. I don't know if they like me to go big or if they like me to go sideways. Yeah, it's like either go sideways, like crab walk, or go big. I'm like, well, if you fuck it up, you're dead. So it's hard to learn.
What did they say for our area?
No, it didn't. It said the bears are different in different areas. They behave differently. So
go with your instinct.
It was like a big disclaimer, don't listen to anything we said because it could be wrong and you'll die.
Well, because you'll die and they don't want to be sued. That's it.
Just throw a kind bar at them.
Right. That was going to be my whole tactic. Keep it in the wrapper so it takes a little bit longer for them to get through it. Just like,
good idea.
Right.
I mean, knowing me that I'm like a runaway freeze response, kind of that's my stress response. I don't think I would instinctively go big. I think that would be me forcing myself really outside of my natural go fetal and pretend you're dead instinct.
I feel like I'd actually go big, which is surprising to me, but that's if things get hostile or scary, I'm not afraid to do that to sound really loud out of nowhere.
First instinct, freeze, and if they started charging, then maybe you just go
then go big.
Yeah.
Then go big.
I don't know. You just have to go with
my sister, when she was in high school, was camping with her boyfriend, and a bear came into their campground, and they're both naked. I don't know why. It was really hot out.
Really hot out.
But he went big and naked, and it worked. He went big, go away, bear. Go away, bear, and it worked. The bear went away.
If I was a bear and there was a naked man yelling at me, I probably would go away too. I'd be like, hey,
what is this hairless specimen?
Gross, man. Go back in your tent. What's your topic?
Okay. So I knew I was going to do this topic.
I can't see your screen. The mic's in the way, so you can feel
I'm
better.
Still going to continue to hide it.
You just keep shifting it.
Shifting it away. So I went to the Pagan Fest a couple weeks ago, and I'd planned on doing experiential research for this topic. So I wanted to get a reading, but as I talked about in our patron only content, right when I was in line and stepping up to pay my money, somebody came out of the fucking bushes
again,
right in front of me.
They always come
swooped in and was like, I'd like an hour reading, please. I was like, well, I just, I just threw my money up in there. I was like, fuck this. I'm going home. I'm not waiting around for an hour. So I did not get to do that. I have had my cards read a long time ago in the very early 90s at the fair. And it was terrifying. It was so spot on that I was just completely freaked out. And I never did it since then.
Was it just what was right? What felt
It was
right?
everything. It was telling me exactly what was wrong with my life and what I needed to do. I was like, I'm not ready for this. So I left. I was
too much, too
21 or something. You're not ready.
Did you listen to it though? Did you take it in?
No, but occasionally over time, the words will come back and I'm like, yep, I know. But knowing doesn't mean you're going to make the changes. It's that classic video they show where the lady has the nail in the head and the guy's like,
yeah,
I know what the problem is. And she's like, no, it's this. It's like, no, really, I think
it's really hurting right
I think I know how we can solve this, So have either of you had your reading done?
No,
never.
Yes.
Sarah, how was your experience, Sarah?
Well, it wasn't, I guess she kind of does cards, but she was more of a medium that she speaks directly to people who have passed and gets guidance from the other side. And she's pretty spot on because it was a group reading. I did.
Was it local?
Yeah. I'm like, can I plug somebody? I don't know.
Sure.
Tessa. Oh, I'll have to look her up and I'll come back later.
Okay.
But yeah, this medium Tessa, she's great. She was spot on with everybody in the group and pulled stuff out from.
Well, I'm so glad that you experienced that because my topic is about mediums.
Ooh.
Focusing on Tyler Henry.
Love him.
Have you watched Tyler Henry?
No.
So Tyler Henry rose to fame as the Hollywood medium. And so he had this show. He started out, first got notoriety doing a reading for the Kardashians, and then just did readings for all kinds of celebrities. I mean, everybody. like Melissa Joan Hart, Janet Jackson, or maybe it was LaToya, one of the Jackson sisters. Just all kinds of famous people. And so I've watched a bunch of those. And now he did the Corey Feldman. Yes. And now he has a new Netflix show called Life After Death, which I watched the whole thing, the whole series. So Tyler Henry is a self-proclaimed clairvoyant, and his whole thing is that spirits on the other side can communicate with him, and so through him he can communicate with loved ones. He says he got his powers at age 10 when he predicted that his grandma was going to pass. So he said he got this strong feeling that his grandma was going to pass. He told his mom, and then the phone rang like right after, and grandma had passed. And so after that, he just started doing readings.
I've been like, you're a creepy kid. You need to leave now. Too much has been said.
So he started as a young teen doing this. Now he's like early 20s. He's born in 96. So how old does that make him?
Oh,
he's pretty young.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's young. That's great. Great. Three of us that can't do math.
Damn it.
Sorry, listeners.
So his technique is really interesting. So he has like a notepad, and he just does these drawings, and it's like lines one way, lines another, sometimes like designs like circles or different things. And like that's how he kind of gets in his grounded clairvoyant state. And me being like a scientific mind, B like psychology person, I'm like, what is that? Like, how does that serve? Yeah. And so what I think it is it's a way to just like put his focus so that it clears up the other part of his mind for the work he needs.
Right. What was the topic that you did about the lady, well, there's two, but who like could guess what was in the box? Remember?
Yeah, that was related. That was mentalism.
Yeah. Right. So because she had to like focus or like be in a specific state before it would happen.
Yes, totally. That was on the true story of the Ring movie.
Right.
Check that out, people. It's a good episode. So that's what I think the purpose.
The medium is Tessa
Harster. Oh, she has really good medium hair.
She does. And why do they always have like was that a bouffant or a beehive? What is that?
She has like a great medium vibe.
Will you pull up a picture of Tyler Henry for Macy?
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's what I think the drawing thing is. It's fascinating. So he has to do that before, everything, and during. He does that too during readings. He says he has no control over who comes through or what they share. He says as a medium, he receives impressions that he needs to interpret, and he relies on the person he's doing the reading for to help make sense of the information. And he calls that validation. So he needs that validation, which part of me like gets it, but part of me like my skeptic is like, well, why do you need that?
It's a little
why can't you just say the thing?
And there's the scribbles.
There's the scribbles.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like, why do you need more information? Why do I have to confirm something for you?
But I sort of get like,
why do I need to validate
he needs to know that he's on the right track, but at the same time, if it's like that legit, like, why do you need the validation? I don't know. So I see both sides of it. So he'll ask questions like, does that make any sense?
He should frame it more like dream analysis, because like dream analysis, it's subjective, but the dreamer has to bring the meaning to it. Typically could be that same sort of thing.
Well, he does. Yeah, he does do that.
Okay.
So he'll give some information, and then he gets them to help make sense of it and interpret it.
Okay.
And then he'll be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense with what I'm seeing and hearing, like what you're saying. You're validating.
That's kind of the part I don't like about mediums, is when they start to do that. Because I've watched just a few. Who's that really popular guy? We've talked about him before. Who does the life after death, like on TV things. He's big.
This guy, Tyler Henry.
That's the guy.
That's the guy. No, because
his show is literally called Life After Death.
No,
isn't he older now?
He had another show.
Okay.
And he was younger. And
Hollywood Medium.
Hollywood.
Oh, he's the one that
He's the same
bothers
guy.
me.
Well, I'm
Got it.
obsessed. I've watched everything he's put out.
I think it's interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's
It just
fascinating.
bothers me.
Okay, you can be bothered. That's
I'm
great.
bothered.
So, you know, I always have an open mind with everything. Like, I'm never gonna like 100% shut anything down because I don't know everything, and there's so much that's outside of human perception. Like, that's just what we know. Like, just look at the electromagnetic spectrum. We can see like a teeny little bit of it. Everything else is outside of our ability to even see it. So I know that there's a lot out there that we don't understand. And plus, it's just, I want to believe in like cool shit out there.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing he might say is, do we know of a situation along these lines? And I've watched a lot of him because I think it's really interesting. And he has some impressive moments. For example, in his new Life After Death show, he gets an impression of a hummingbird, and then he learns that the person who passed had a tattoo of a hummingbird. And in this particular case, which is episode 1 of his new series, there was just so many things. It's like, how would you even know that? Like, knew the person, what, like physically what they were experiencing when they were passing, knew that there was, well, this is where it gets a little fuzzy. Didn't know that they're pregnant, but knew that there was a baby involved, knew that there was something with a premature birth that was involved. And that was what happened. This individual went into a emergency situation and had to do an emergency delivery. They died giving birth, but then the baby was born prematurely. So stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, how would you know that specifically? And he makes people feel like their loved ones are present. And that's what people walk away like I feel like they were there.
I know someone who had a median work with them.
Median is the center line of a road. That's different. It's also like something to do with numbers.
Yes, the median number.
The median, the mean, and the mode.
Yes, the median. Yeah.
You know some math.
I already forgot.
I went through calculus 3. I looked up, he's on tour right now. I went on his website.
Were you excited?
So if we want to see him in our state, he will be coming to Toppenish, Washington, which I don't know where that is, April 22nd, 2023, at the Legends Casino Hotel Event Center. Tickets are not cheap.
How much are tickets?
I would assume, yeah.
Like, if you want to be right up front, it's like over $500 a ticket. Like, you can get like far back ones that are like $49, but if you want to be in the shit, if you want to be in the splash zone, you're paying over $500.
I just know there's a lot of research that goes in on their parts of like producers and preparing. Like, they often know a lot about their audience ahead of time.
I'm going to be talking about that.
Great.
On Tyler's website, you can contact Tyler to do a private reading.
Oh my gosh, did you do it? We never did the rumpology reading to get our butt cheeks read.
Because it costs like $175 per cheek. Per cheek.
You could do one cheek.
Palm reading, but
I didn't want a half-ass literally reading.
We could put both of our butt
I
cheeks
wanted
together.
a full-ass rumpology reading.
Cut in 2 for 4.
And actually, I think she might have passed away. Sarah,
she did.
Sarah, did she pass away?
Wait, will you check?
Oh, yes.
Sylvester Stallone's mom. I think we missed our opportunity.
I think so. I mean,
did Mama Stallone pass? Oh, maybe we can. Oh, I just got it. I just got it. We will contact Tyler Henry to contact Sly Stallone's mom and get a rumpology reading through Tyler Henry. Oh my God.
What? Can she see our butts from the
from beyond?
Oh my God. How many people can see my butt from beyond?
Everybody. I am sweaty about this idea. I am sweaty.
I'm sweaty too.
Am I looking up the name of the mom?
We just need to know
if she alive.
Oh.
Has our opportunity
We-
passed
Well,
along with
no,
Mama
I
Stallone?
think the opportunity has just arisen.
Yeah, you
I
came
think
up with a new-
I think it is ever living in the afterlife.
He did die.
Oh, R.I.P. Mama Stallone.
No.
R.I.P. 2020.
We know you're
September
still looking.
2020.
I feel like
I feel like we get to that title.
I know. I keep
I
touching
need
my
to
butt
touch
now.
my butt now. Okay.
It feels personal.
What information do you hold?
Well, everyone, touch your butt at the same time and go. I guarantee you touched your butt.
Or at least thought about it.
And if
Yeah.
you didn't, you're lost.
So if you want to sign up for a private reading, it says on the website, please note, Tyler does not have access to this inbox as he prefers to do his private readings without having prior information. So on his shows, it appears that he gets no prior information, nothing about the person at all. Whether that is true or not, we don't know. We're not privy to that. I don't know anybody that works on his team. I don't have any private information from his neighbors that listen over the fence.
Mhm.
But that's like his whole thing. He doesn't want to know their names. Even when he was doing the celebrity readings,
Mhm.
like he would show up and
Mhm.
be like, I have no idea who you are. And then they would reveal it and he'd have big shock, like, oh my God.
Does he really not know though?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of them is like, how do you not know who this person is? They're so fucking famous.
Right.
But he wasn't like that with everybody. He knew who Melissa Joan Hart was because he'd watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay.
So it wasn't like across the board.
Yeah.
And I thought that gave it some legitimacy.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, like you have to know who some of these people are. So on Hollywood Medium, Tyler gave a reading to Alan Thicke and said he needed to be careful about heart problems and asked if like anything like that ran in his family. And Alan Thicke was like, total denial, like, no, that's like has nothing to do with me. But he had a weird look on his face. Like he was like hiding something almost. And then 3 months later he's dead of a heart thing.
What?
So a lot of people point to that as like a true prediction that Tyler was able to make. And there are many moments that seem convincing. Like that isn't the only one. I wouldn't have kept watching it if there wasn't enough like ding ding dings to like give me that reward of like, okay, there's something here. You know, it's like pulling that slot machine. If I never won ever, then I wouldn't continue to play penny slots with my $20 that I allot myself when I go to the casino. I'm not a big gambler. I'm not a big gambler.
I do the $20 too, but my dad has to give me the 20.
Yeah, that's my
Then I
limit.
feel like I'm really winning.
Break it into fives.
I make it last for the 2 hours, and he's either won 400 or lost 400, and I'm like, I'm up $50, or I'm down the 20 I was given.
I'm
and
not
then
a
I stop.
casino's best friend because if
No.
I win and I'm over my money, I'm done. I
stop.
cash out. I'm like,
You just
cool.
set new limits.
But then I go spend it in the bar. I'm like, free drinks.
I don't do that. I don't think I've ever drank at a bar in a casino before.
Really? That's the whole point of going.
Scares me. No.
To a casino.
I think you would scare me in a hotel casino.
Probably.
Bar.
No, I don't go often. I think once in a while it's interesting, like as a winter activity up here, but it's definitely not my jam. There's a lot more interesting things to do. But it's like with bowling. And bowling and casino are equal to me, like something to do in the dead of winter up here when you don't want to just go to bed at 5 because it's pitch dark. Like bowling is a thing, and going to the casino, like I don't love either, but it's an option.
When I went when I was on Running Start, I took a bowling class for my PE credit.
Are you good?
I also got fairly good at pool. I won a 9-ball tournament.
I was fairly good at pool back in the day when I used to go to the bar all the time before I had kids.
Now I have the problem I have like little fingers, but I want like a decent sized ball.
Oh, you get your own bowling ball. I have my own custom ball.
Why did you say that? Like everyone has their own bowling ball. Is that a thing?
I wouldn't use the balls at the rink or whatever you call it.
Yes, I stick my finger in the ball.
A bowling rink?
No,
Allie.
I'm using my reference points. Like gross. I mean, that's like wearing someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
Like it's like wearing rental skates.
On your fingers.
Yeah, on your fingers. No, I have my own
Then you walk away.
custom Powerpuff Girls bowling ball. Actually, it's red glitter. It's super,
Of course you do.
super cute.
You should post a picture of that.
Anyway, back to Tyler Henry and mediums.
Right.
There are moments that also seem like he's not really providing anything helpful. So I do notice that too. I'm like, I don't think this person walked away with anything beyond what they already knew,
right.
You know. But I do find myself getting drawn into these episodes, and it's not just like, is he going to be able to like predict something or know something that only they would know, but it's the people's stories too. Like they're staring. Like I'm kind of a trauma junkie.
I was gonna
like,
say, like that's one of the things I don't like about it is it's kind of like people. I don't know. It's like Dr. Phil a little bit to me.
But
like,
they volunteer though.
I know, but so do people on Dr. Phil, and I still think it's exploitation in a way.
Well, and some people think that, but I like hearing the stories.
I'm sure most people.
I mean,
like
that's part of why I like
trauma.
I like to work with trauma.
Right,
I like
counselors.
I like to collect the stories. I'm sick in the mind.
We're sick.
I've already admitted that many times. I have problems.
I feel like he does bring like closure to people though.
Yeah.
Are like wanting to hear that their loved ones are okay, that they're somewhere
Yes.
peaceful. And you see like relief at the end of the episode.
I will be getting into that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of foreshadowing happening. Are you both mediums?
Maybe.
And I feel like he does, even though his toolkit is very limited, I feel like he does have some go-to responses that are useful in the moment. Like when somebody's like having a big emotional response and he's able to just be in equipoise and just say things like, it's a lot, or yeah, like, oh, this got heavy, or, you know, he has some go-to responses, which I think were fine. I didn't have any problem with any of them. I wasn't like, you said what?
Yeah, he doesn't have the Dr. Phil thing where Dr. Phil comes and like shames people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree because I've seen the difference.
Yeah. I wanted to share about an episode that I thought was particularly convincing, one that really stood out. So this was one of the last episodes in the Netflix thing, Life After Death, and it seemed like he predicted a fire. He was doing
Nostradamus-y.
He was doing a reading for friends who run a museum of Chinese artifacts, and he said he was getting the need for a remodel, but only in one part of the building. And then he asked if inspectors had checked things out to make sure everything was okay. And the people were like, this was not something that they were giving him any validation on. They're like, no, everything's fine. Yeah, let's get on to what we wanted to talk about. But he kept he kept persistent with it, which I thought, to me, like that wasn't just going off of their feedback to him. Like this was something else. It was very interesting. Like they kept wanting to like change the thing, and he kept at it. He's like, I feel like I'm getting impressions about a fire, like a destructive fire. And he kept with it over and over. Repeatedly, he kept bringing it up. And he asked his friends, like, because since they weren't giving him any validation about knowing anything about a fire, like you could see that he was sort of like, okay, like, am I on the wrong track? He wasn't getting that validation back. So he's like, is anything about a fire bringing up anything for you? And they're like, no. Hours later, the building burned to the ground. Hours.
Meanwhile, he's miking somebody
I know.
there. But now,
no, honest to God, I thought that. I'm like, did he set the building?
I know.
on
That's.
fire?
I would just be worried. Like you fucking did it. It was you.
Yeah.
Nobody else said anything.
But this was a museum of Chinese artifacts. I mean, like that would be
It
going a
would be
little bit far for the ratings.
That would be a bad move, right?
Yeah. But I was like, what? Like, okay, that
It's a
to
bit
me,
much.
like there was something was going on. I don't know what it was.
See, that's why I don't want to talk to the guy because he's going to tell me something's going to catch on fire and then it will.
And then it will. So, like, yeah, was this a self-fulfilling prophecy?
If you wouldn't have said it, then
Yeah, did he wish it into existence?
Because I mean,
Is Tyler Henry manifesting arson?
but no, I mean, to me, it leans
Allegedly
a little confirmation biasy too, though, because like, how many different things does he hit on all the time that never come to be? But like that one thing here and there that hits, it's like, oh wow, it's huge because we want it to align.
right, exactly.
Perhaps
Exactly.
In my 98% jaded view.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're opening up the 2%. That's what it's all about.
I'm always 2% open.
That's great. Well,
2% milk.
we'll stick
It's
a
actually the
crowbar in that
best.
fucker.
2% is
What's
better.
your favorite?
Right.
So one of these friends that Tyler was doing a reading for had recently lost her mother, who was the integral person behind the preservation of all these artifacts, these Chinese artifacts. And so I'm like, was the mom like trying to give this warning, this message, like, get the artifacts out, there's going to be a fire? I don't know. That's kind of just where my mind went. They didn't talk about that on the show. But an individual was arrested for arson. So whether they were a stooge and set up or whether they really did it, we'll never know.
Wait, was it public? Like, could people hear it before?
Hear what?
Good question.
Like, was it
Posted?
Yeah, posted and released.
No,
Okay.
it was after. Yeah,
It was after.
Yeah.
Okay.
like
Had
did
to
they
be
hear
him,
Like
that?
a fan was like, I'm gonna make
Yeah, right.
No, it was all in the same episode. It was like that reading happened, and then it was like
Later.
hours later, and they showed that it was on the news. They showed it was a big fire.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like burning.
Dude, you know,
to the ground.
Regardless, his publisher was like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, nailed that, Tyler. Good job on you. Criticism.
What?
I
What's
like
that?
to present a well-rounded topic.
That's what I'm here for.
Critics have alleged that Henry's readings are performed using what is known as hot and cold reading techniques and not psychic powers. Critics and debunkers say these techniques are how mediums convince total strangers that they seemingly know personal details about their life. So let me tell you about cold readings.
Yes, do that.
Cold reading techniques. This is a lot like being a good therapist.
I know,
TBH. TBH, like I'm like, I kind of do that sometimes. So this is essentially combining high probability guesses and broad statements with carefully crafted language and psychological methods to create the appearance of intuitive perception or paranormal gifts. Macy, hand up in the back.
I had a client tell me the other day, well, not like a while ago, said, are you like in my mind? You know what I'm thinking. And like, I could tell for a second, she actually like was questioning how I knew some of those things, but it really is an intuitive skill that over time you get very good at.
Yeah, it's a skill you can develop.
And you are kind of in their mind of it. So like it is like you learn enough about someone or just about human nature in general that you can intuitively respond in a way that feels right.
And we're looking at facial expressions, we're looking at body language, we're listening to the content that they're sharing.
Even the tone, inflection.
Yeah, there's so much information that we're using to summarize a powerful reflective statement that may hit it on the head and like, yes, that's exactly what I feel and what I think.
Right. And we're thinking 3 steps down the road too, which surprises people because you're putting together pieces that they've talked about that they haven't necessarily glued in.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm just like thinking like, okay, is it the right time? Do I wait? Like, because like it's the nail on the head thing. Like you don't want to present it before they are ready to like come up with it on their own, or else it's meaningless.
So much
there's no power.
Just because you see something doesn't mean that that's going to be real for that person in that moment.
Yeah, sometimes you just tuck it away.
Yeah.
There is no singular technique for cold reading, but rather it's a set of techniques that leverage a deep understanding of human psychology.
Are we mediums?
We are mediums.
I'm here. You brought me along. I'm here.
We already said we are 3 dark-haired witchy types.
I'm the Sarah in the Hocus Pocus trio. She's just like, yeah, amok.
I just watched.
You're the Kathy, my Jamie. Oh no, they're the Sarah Jessica Parker. Okay.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Okay.
Her name's Sarah in Hocus Pocus.
Oh,
Right.
I haven't watched Hocus Pocus 2 yet. I will at some point.
I watched the
maybe
Hocus
when I have
Pocus
a fever.
bash thing, like where they did like this like celebration thing on Disney Plus. Very good. I didn't know how LGBT like plus supportive they are.
Oh
like,
yeah,
huge, and they had so many
totally.
good performing artists. Like huge diversity. It was really good. Yeah,
yeah.
I was surprised. Yeah,
Kathy and the Jamie is
right,
especially
so
allied-ish, not ish, allied.
absolutely.
An effective cold reader is a good listener, an attentive observer, carefully studies people and gathers information. So just looking at the way people sit or talk, or even like looking at clothes and hairstyle, you can bring something.
This is an assessment.
This is an MSc.
We do this on the daily.
So yeah. So that one where I was talking about what that was impressive on the first episode of Life After Death,
My body.
where Tyler Henry was
sweater again today.
Like predicted the hummingbird tattoo and all that.
Yes.
Like he met with 3 friends and they were very like they all had beach waves and they're drinking red wine, and it was very like sisterhood. And he said, I'm feeling like this has something to do with a female. And at that moment, I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I got that.
I'm getting this as a sister thing. Okay. So renowned mentalists and magicians like Penn and Teller, who I am obsessed with.
Yeah, they
are. Who present these feats as tricks or techniques. Mm-hmm. Like it's part of their act. They're very open, like this is an act, this is a trick,
it's a performance.
They have really worked diligently to expose frauds, and Penn and Teller have that great series called Bullshit that I recommend everybody should watch. Yeah, it's so good. And they actually on that like catch a medium like getting pre-info.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Getting pre-info, and then they do this like incredible reading. It's like, okay, well, we already saw like how you learn that, so now it's not as impressive.
So what we have to do is go to his show. We'll pay the $500, and then
will we?
And
does Sarah get a per diem?
Well, here's what we're.
I'll be way in the back with the 200 seats.
$49 for the nosebleeds.
Yeah. No, we need to have a reading done because we're going to be mourning the loss of
who?
Of the
Sylvester Stallone's mom.
Yes, and so like we're not going to say the name, right?
Right. You can't,
but that's
say the
who
name.
We're mourning because we are upset.
Okay, so if we went there,
because then he's going to have to specifically mention
we said nothing.
Reading.
Yeah, if he mentions butts, then I'm all in.
I
will drop to my knees. Hail Tyler. Hail Tyler. Hail Tyler.
You did it.
And then we'll twerk.
And then we'll twerk.
In honor.
I'm a terrible twerker.
I've seen it. It's true. Okay, sorry. Go on.
Yeah. So like these renowned mentalists and magicians who do this as entertainment and performance arts, they really frown upon individuals that present this as an authentic otherworldly ability and not just entertainment.
There's more wine if you would like some, Sarah. She's already done with hers.
Counter.
Oh, okay.
There's a bottle of red.
Good. Yeah, you're good.
Even the legendary Harry Houdini dedicated the later stages of his life to debunking phony psychics, mediums, and spiritualists. Are you looking at my cat?
He's looking at me like through the gap in a sexy pose. I didn't know what to do.
Ew, I don't want to interpret that as sexy.
I don't know. He's doing like the guy like.
And he does
look at me.
Splay out.
Splay.
Cold readings require being a really good listener, and you can like tuck away information that's told to you earlier and pull it out later. And because people have terrible memories, they will forget that they said that earlier. And so when you circle back and bring it up, they're like, oh my God, how did you know that?
Right, right.
Misremembering. Yeah, like I said, our memories are fallible, malleable. And also we have the natural confirmation bias. So it makes it believe what we want to believe, what we want to be true, as opposed to what actually happened. I try to come to it from a balanced place. Like I notice like the times where I'm like, ooh, that was impressive. But I also notice the times I'm like, I don't think anything was really offered here.
And I feel like it would help me if like in those times he was just like, I'm getting nothing. Like I would get so much more.
I was honest, like,
yeah. And like I would believe that more if he
record
was,
scratch on his notepad.
Nothing. Like if it was 5%, he was like, oh my gosh, I have something. I would feel that
rather than trying to
then like every time. Yeah, every time you happen to sync up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean he could be telling the truth, but just trying to buff out the other pieces to make it not look so bad.
And then when people are either experiencing or reading themselves, or like me, like watching one as an audience member, like I'm gonna take away those incredible moments.
Right.
I'm gonna minimize the moments that weren't that cool. I'm gonna go away and be like, oh my God, I can't believe he said hummingbird. What the fuck?
I've had friends get really meaningful things from family members who have passed away and have done those things, and like it means a lot because there's some sort of thing, but I don't know, sometimes it keeps the door open too for something that should naturally close.
Well, you can coerce your audiences into guiding the readings by turning every statement into a question that requires more than a yes or no answer. That's fucking therapy.
Open-ended questions.
We are trained in open-ended questions. You don't
ask yes, no.
You don't do it.
You don't say, did you have breakfast? You say, tell me about your breakfast.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Tell me more. What was your breakfast like?
Let's talk more about that thing that you just said. I mean, I just had a therapy appointment just before you all came over, and I said that. It's like, let's go back to that. Mm-hmm. Talk more about that.
Mm-hmm. Walk me through what that looked like.
Yeah. So instead of
we're mediums,
does a White House mean anything to you, which would be yes or no, you say, I see a hazy image of a White House. What does that mean?
I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to just be like, I'm just I'm
getting the letter S.
Okay, you had an argument.
Is there any
You had an argument. I'm sensing hostility.
What is the significance of an S?
Well, I'm seeing anger and rage.
Yeah, and if you do RSTLNE, like that increases your chances of a hit.
Right.
Because those are the most commonly used letters in the English language.
Well, then you could say, you've been hurt.
Because you know that
you've been abandoned.
Yeah.
Someone left you.
I mean, he is way more specific than that.
Ghost.
He's way more specific than that. Like he will come in and be like with those ladies with the hummingbird, like he called that it was a friend and a female, but he also comes in and like, this is a child, or this is a parent, or this is a grandparent that I'm
getting.
But
don't they usually then they're like, yes, my child.
Well, so what he does is he doesn't let them give any information at first. Mm-hmm. He waits till he feels like he's made enough hits or whatever you want to call it, and then he'll say, okay, like help me make sense of this. But it's not till that point. Like he doesn't let them. It's kind of like rapport building. It's like the rapport building. Like we take in a ton of information up front. We don't interpret at that stage. We allow it all to be information gathering. And then once rapport has been built, the connection's there, they are trusting us. Then we, start to provide reflection and interpretation and allow them to see what they get from that. Yes. And I've seen that sometimes he goes to that point sooner than others. Sometimes
Which have
I don't know
therapy.
if
Some
I don't know if,
clients are quicker than others for rapport building. You
well,
can tell when someone
maybe
trusts you.
like, let's say from a believer side, maybe he's just getting more information in those cases
Fair.
coming through. In other cases less, and he's like, okay, you know, kind of like not really getting any more impressions, and then he needs to go to, okay, like, let's like explain it
Like
to
where
me.
he's
Let's make
kinda
sense
hit
of
a-
it. Like
So
a wall.
to him, it's like, okay, I've hit a wall. Now I need your information to finish it, which does kind of like that makes sense as an like, oh, okay, like you only get so much information.
Right.
So it kind of leads into that.
And the way he explains it, it's very much imagery and not like linear sentences. Like it could be like, you know, a symbol of a mountain or a symbol of this or that. And he said,
so good to use. Yeah.
He said through his experiences that these symbols from the afterlife all like mean the same sort of meaning. Like they come through to him. Like it like if he sees like a this, like a lace, like there, it means something like consistently, like an archetype almost. Yeah.
I love archetypes. They're just so fun.
Critics have argued that Henry and other mediums are con artists whose actions are exploitative, and he has been dismissed as one of the many mediums who lack training and counseling, which might result in risk of harm to the audience. So if he's bringing up strong emotions, is he going to be able to be that safe container for that and know how to navigate those waters?
And I've seen people personally handle it really well, like open up and then be able to kind of close that themselves. And I think that speaks to more of like individual resiliency to do that. I think we're made to do that a bit, being vulnerable and healing, but not, like you said, not everybody, not every situation is that. I mean, we're not cookie cutters. So it's, you know, some people, you may open a door that's going to hurt them for a while.
Yeah. And he does have that toolbox of these great responses. And from what I saw, I never thought he was damaging anybody. I never saw anything where I'm like, oh my God. You know, it wasn't a Dr. Phil situation. I'm like, what are you doing to this person?
But as counselors, we would say seeing someone once, opening the door and then walking away wouldn't be ethical.
Well,
within our role, we would say, no, that's not okay.
With ours, but what I'm going to say next is he actually provides people with closure. So I've not seen one in most cases. I would say one in particular in the series where I'm like,
is it not good?
You opened up something and I don't think you provided anything helpful. There was nothing new. Like this person, like everything he said in that case was like, she already knew that, and I didn't feel like it was helpful at all. So, but that's kind of the outlier. Like in most of them, people are like, oh my God, thank you.
My worry would be, because like I've heard some people where like then they continue to go to that forum to try to talk to, speak to that person who's passed away. And so it like doesn't necessarily close the door for them, but makes them feel like the door's more open, which can be beneficial, but sometimes harmful.
Well, his waiting list is astronomical. So,
which again,
you can't get repeat readings. So, which is why people go to these shows, because then there's like a chance they could get picked, you know, and get a reading.
It's so, but that's the part that doesn't feel good to me. It's like, to get help in healing, you have to pay $500, and you might maybe not. It has to, and you have to agree to publicly have it put out there in order to talk to your loved one who's passed. Like, as a vulnerable person in that moment, you're going to say yes to that no matter what, because I'm going to talk to my daughter who got hit by a car. Yes. Like, I don't care the cost.
Here's my thought.
It's exploitive in a little way.
My thought is he needs to make money. He has to have a job. Right. That's one.
Right.
In most cases, he's providing a service that people want. So capitalism
there's
is
worse
real.
Services out there that people pay for on the daily.
They're choosing it. So self-determination. And in at least the cases that they film, like, who knows? There could be a whole bunch of maybe 90% of them are disastrous and they don't film them. We don't know. But in most of the cases that I saw, people were finding benefit in this.
I didn't even think about that. That's probably a good point though. Like, what do they
edit out?
Yeah.
It's
because
like
they
my
probably,
Instagram. What do I crop out?
They probably put in, I mean, everything you see is strategic. So like they probably leave in a couple that are like, but then you see the majority and you're like, well, I can deal with that little piece that
yeah, we don't know. I mean,
don't know.
editing is so powerful. Like, you know, my
100%
my younger son's super into skating, and we watch like King of the Road and other skate movies, and we always talk about like, you know, the final like cool trick video, like that was 20 accidents. That like 20 fails.
When we take an Instagram photo, there's 30
before
fails.
It gets there. So who knows what's happening behind the scene editing. You know, the power of the edit is real.
I think the impact totally depends on the person. I agree with you. Like there could be someone that like takes a lot from that and gets a lot from that. And there could be someone who that does hurt in some way. Even if it's, I don't know, there's a lot of exploitive situations where it feels right to the person at the time until later when they're like, yeah, I guess that.
Yeah. Also, he's famous and successful. So that means something in my mind. Like if everybody hated him, it wouldn't be that case. So that means to me, like enough people are satisfied that's allowing him.
See, my mind went to he has enough power and authority to sway how people's opinion of him.
I don't know. Like on the show, his team is really small. It's like he had one assistant and his mom.
He seems really caring.
He does.
I don't know how you can.
He seems really, really honest to God,
really caring and exploit people.
I mean, there's also the allure.
I'm more like the.
No,
there's also the allure of money. Like
that's the part I'm skeptical about.
If you're making money, you're gonna want to keep making the money, and you're gonna figure out what the equation.
What did they tell you as counselors? Like when you start to go to school, it's like don't expect to become a billionaire out of this. Like this isn't the job. If you want to make a ton of money, you've chosen the wrong career.
Well, that's why I'm quitting my job and becoming a medium tomorrow.
I mean, and that's not to say that there aren't better ways, or not better, that there aren't other ways to help people. There can be other ways to help people. And I think that's okay. I do think people need to be mindful of the ways that they can be exploitative to people, especially for monetary gain.
I think go into it just with education. That's why one of our credos is knowledge is power.
Right.
Like
know all the sides.
Know all the sides, approach things with equanimity.
But it's also boring to be normal. So sure, throw this stuff in there and we'll watch it. And
yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to have psychic powers my entire life.
You would love that.
I would so love it.
I would hate that. I'd hate it if you had psychic powers.
Maybe I do.
You'd be so annoying.
Maybe that's where how we've gotten to where we are today.
You'd be like, I'm a little powerful.
Oh, I'd be like Galadriel, Lord of the Rings.
What were you holding there?
The power of the ring. The power of the ring.
I see.
So Tyler,
I'd be a hobbit. I'd be reliable and friendly.
You do have little feet.
Well, no, they have big feet. It's
they
the opposite.
Do you have hairy feet?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that was a good guess. You're obviously a bad medium, though. You gotta practice.
I'm getting something about feet.
50-50. You're getting something about feet here. Right. I can't go further. My dad will make fun of me publicly, but yes, continue.
Tyler Henry does, honest to God, bring people resolution, hope, and closure. Like for things that they may have been suffering, like true suffering for years. He does
say it's like pieces of like, it is a closing statement typically from what I've seen at least.
So Bobby Brown, we did the topic on Whitney Houston.
Yes.
So Bobby Brown. Tyler Henry did a reading for Bobby Brown when he's doing his Hollywood medium stuff. Tyler, of course, this is one of those like had no idea who he was, which is understandable. He didn't really look like New Kids on the Block anymore. Is that his band?
Bobby Brown?
Yeah, was it New Kids on the Block? Oh God.
I don't think so.
New Edition. It was New Edition.
Oh, okay.
Jesus, sorry everybody. I am so sorry. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike.
Someone's gonna correct us for that thing.
No, I corrected myself. I know that was a terrible
They're gonna
mistake.
listen to that one point and decide to comment. They're gonna stop it and then they're gonna comment.
But it was new Kids on the Block, new edition.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah. See, that's why we have Sarah.
Is she your validator?
Sarah makes me feel better
this is
about
gross
myself.
now. I'm not okay with it.
All right, I'll just leave.
Bye, Sarah.
Maybe firing.
So
I'm the yin to her yang.
I don't want your fault.
I don't want to be. I don't want. You know.
So, yeah,
I mean, I do want to be the yang in this relationship. I'd rather be yang.
No false compliments, Naomi.
I'm gonna be the big yang in this relationship.
You're the yang.
So,
For sure.
Like, you're so bright with my.
Your cat's very mad right now.
if our video looks like an earthquake, it's because Obi just ran by on the bed.
He's so mad.
Obi, stop. Come here. You're fine.
He's so upset.
Come here.
What did you do to the cat?
I don't know what's happening. Sarah will soothe him.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah.
So Whitney Houston had a tragic life. Bobby Brown also suffered unspeakable tragedies, losing Whitney, who was his ex-wife at the time, their daughter, Bobby Christina, and then his son, Bobby Brown Jr. I mean, that is like that level of loss is,
yeah.
I can't even fathom that. It's
Sad.
Devastating. So Tyler, started it out like identifying that Bobby's family members had cancer. He said like his father had quit smoking, which Bobby Brown was like, okay, yeah, like that's kind of an in-depth personal thing. Nobody would know. And he was telling him his dad wished he had told Bobby that he had loved him while he was alive, while Bobby Brown was a little boy. Giving all this stuff that really was like soothing wounds that had been long-standing since he was little.
Right.
So Tyler gets the buy-in by hitting on personal info that he shouldn't know. So that's like the initial buy-in piece.
Yeah.
Whether that's legit or not, that's like what's happening. He connects certain things
intentionally.
And people are like, nobody would know that. Nobody would know that.
Which we do in counseling when we read like their intake questionnaire and we get some information ahead of time to go into that prepared, but we just don't have the like where we feel like we have to be about it, like who knows how we know that? No, you actually told us that, and it's okay that you told us that.
Right.
Like,
but now that I'm embarking on my new career as a medium,
right,
I will identify the source as
That's
the
great.
other side.
Well, and I like how when you mentioned the emails earlier, like how he's like, I don't want that information early.
Yeah.
My mind instantly went to because he has people that does that for him.
Yes.
This is like the public image because like all of that ties into the like he has to uphold that image that he's not getting information
right
all the time.
And that's the whole thing with the hot reading thing is that you're getting info somehow, whether it's your team providing it with you, whether you have plants out there trying to get information.
But my friend,
whether you're overhearing things,
right? My friend,
whether you're doing research,
she told me that like she hopped in and was like a last minute addition. They had no information on her prior, and he picked her, not him, but some medium picked her and talked about her loss like really openly. And like you could tell it was very impactful for her, lots of things that she clung to. But me as an outsider who wasn't the person grieving, listening to it, I definitely could hear the things like when he'd poke at something and she'd be like, yeah, no, or like, not really. Like I heard those just as equal as I heard the other side. But once you hit that emotion,
and that's those cold reading skills,
right? Because then
where you're like, and then you zero in on that,
and then
you get a reaction.
It was I call it in counseling, I call it clicking in the seatbelt. Like once I'm clicked in with you, we're like together, and I call it
making them cry.
I love making my clients cry.
It's my favorite thing too. It sounds sick, but it's so good.
It sounds sick, but it's cathartic.
Sorry.
I know they always apologize. I'm like, you can be as gross as you want. It's fine.
I huck a box of Kleenex across the room and it's like, let's roll.
I don't even huck the Kleenex. I'm like, you can grab a Kleenex if you want. If not, you can be snotty. I'm gross all the time. It's fine.
Well, I like to at least offer. Because often I find they don't know where the Kleenexes are, and I can kind of see them looking like they want a Kleenex.
In arm's reach, and they can get it if they feel so inclined. I don't want them
Not me. I like to keep the Kleenexes next to me, so I have the power of relieving
That
them.
makes sense from what I know of you. Yeah.
That's totally not true.
This is the
That's totally
yang.
not true.
No, no.
They're next to people, but they often don't see them. So I'll be like, if you
Good
want,
point.
yeah,
Right,
there's
right.
some Kleenex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. You can snot all over, but
Yeah.
if you want to be more comfortable by wiping your nose,
I just love
go for it.
making people uncomfortable. It's good. It's healthy.
Lean into it. So, then, so like making hits on things that he shouldn't know, that personal info, that like gives that initial credence to the message, that the messages are like coming through from the other side. Then he makes connections by providing people with information that they really need. So he's giving them something important. He's providing them with relief. It's like emotionally very satisfying.
The cat licked
Often,
me.
he's a lover. Often it's information that helps people break through barriers that have kept them stuck, that have kept them like they felt regret for
Right.
many years, maybe feeling like they should have done more, they
Mhm.
should have done something different. And
Or if it's really
It's
unexplained,
healing, like-
unexplained losses that they like a quick, like there was no stages to it. It just
Yeah,
happened.
I mean,
Right.
he honest to God gives people gifts. Not always, but a lot of the time, at least with the things they post, he's giving people a true, genuine gift that is life-changing.
We do that too.
Tyler told Bobby
Gets
Brown
paid a lot more money.
that Whitney didn't intentionally overdose, that she took an amount of drugs that she was used to, but that she had a heart condition. Of course, if you Google it, I Googled that because I wanted to see like what would come up. The very first thing that came up was Houston accidentally drowned in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills with heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. So, I mean, if you've done any amount of Google research, like that's not new information. But the way he presented it was helpful. But I don't think it's a big stretch either psychologically to feel like he's wrestling with that.
Yeah.
Like that, like not knowing, like, was it an intentional overdose or not? I mean, you know, I have that personally.
Yeah.
I've gone through that my whole life because my dad died of an overdose, and like my initial thought was that a suicide attempt or was it an accident?
Right.
So I think that's just a natural go-to that people go to.
Yeah.
Tyler told him that Whitney had helped his little girl, Bobby Christina, cross over and was present with her when she passed. So, and was holding her hand when she transitioned. And that just like gave him so much comfort because there's a lot of questions about how Bobby Christina died, the circumstances, this whole investigation.
Around it.
Well, like, was there foul play? Like there was a lot around that. And told him that his daughter knew how much he was loved. And Bobby Brown said like he was estranged from his daughter at the time that she passed. But Tyler Henry told him she does not in any way blame you or have any negative emotions connected to you in any way. She loves her mom and her dad, and she wasn't as detrimentally affected by things as other people may have said. So I think a lot of people were like, you know, what are you doing to your daughter with your lifestyle and this and that? And like maybe like somehow his actions had in some indirect way contributed to her ending up in the circumstances that led to her death.
Right.
And he was just so like you could just see him melt into the relief of this. Like he'd held this for so long. He said, this is everything I've wanted to hear,
Right.
everything I've needed to hear. So is it a disservice?
I have a grain of salt about it.
Is it a disservice? Like whatever the source is and
if
all
he's
that.
lying to them, I don't like it, but people lie to people all the time to make them feel better. It's a thing that happens, and it does make people feel better to hear something that makes them go on. Is it a bit enabling? Is it a bit not confronting the problem perhaps? Or like if I'm the actual dead person back there being like, hey, no, you really did fuck up my life. Maybe I don't want you to speak for me, perhaps. So I definitely see both sides. I don't think there's necessarily a clear right or wrong, which makes it challenging.
Yeah. I don't see a clear this or that either. I wanted to kind of present a balanced view and share like my thoughts.
I'm just saying, if I don't like somebody, I swear to God.
Oh my God, Obi.
If somebody shows up and says, Obi totally made this podcast amazing for us today.
Obi just knocked down our entire second video camera onto the floor. Because he needs so much love.
He does need so much love.
Thank you, Sarah Hype Girl.
Thank you, Sarah.
For picking that up off the floor. There's Sarah's hand. It's a very nice hand. Sarah's really pretty.
You want to come in here? She's the prettiest girl I've ever met. Come here. No, you are. I've thought it for a long time.
She has really nice eyebrows in her.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, I know you said that, but
I know. I'm the prettiest.
Daisy, you're so pretty too. I'm serious. That's
I'm
not
pretty or just being next to you. Look at this.
Oh, I think we're all pretty, but I'm semi-narcissist.
I can't. So. There's a mic. You are semi-narcissist. We also went
we're
over
so
that
pretty
yesterday.
with our dark, with the
Nothing
dark
wrong
hair.
with that. I don't think there's anything wrong.
I just lightened my hair.
Here, Sarah's out of view. Oh, look at that lovely hair.
Okay.
So if you did,
beautiful hair, my God.
Please support our podcast by being our patron on Patreon. It's the best way to help us afford wine. Or if you didn't listen to our last episode, we reviewed the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which is
good episode.
Super
I really
twisted.
Enjoyed that one.
Yeah, really fun.
Yeah, we need to do more of those. I really like them. Can we do them more than every 100 episodes?
Yes, okay. We can. We'll talk about it in our board meeting. We'll bring it up with the stakeholders, see what they think.
Great. Until next time.
I think find comfort wherever you can. Whatever gets you through the night is all right. It's all right.
And make sure you have the right map or you're going to crash into this mountain.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.